Welcome to the Entrepreneur Master Series. This is the real Jason Duncan. Thank you for coming in today. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. Go ahead and get comfortable, get out a pen, a piece of paper, get ready to take some great notes. You're going to love what you hear today. We'll be right back with you. Sit tight. All right, welcome to the Entrepreneur Master Series. Hey there, my name is the real Jason Duncan, and I'm glad that you're here today for this live webinar. So a couple things to keep in mind as we get started. It's a live webinar, man. So there's going to be mistakes. There's going to be sound issues. There's always going to be something a little off and about what we're doing, but I'm glad that you're here. It's going to be a great time today. You're going to learn some amazing stuff. But before we dive into the topic today, I want to talk about what this is. So the Entrepreneur Masters Series, otherwise known as EMS, is a free service of my coaching program. And I provide this free to anybody that wants to attend from around the world. I do this a couple of times a month where I bring in an outside expert, like we've got Ruben and Darius Santos from Dubb today as our experts. I bring in these outside experts to deliver great value to you as an entrepreneur on how to be more successful, how to do things better. Today, we're talking about video and sales, and we're going to get specifically into the introduction of what that looks like in just a minute. But the Entrepreneur Master Series is, again, this is a free service I provide. If you want to register for any of these, you can always go to therealjasonduncan.com/EMS. There's always one coming up around the corner within 2 weeks, and always good stuff that we're talking about today. So let me go ahead and welcome our guests today. So Ruben and Darius, if you guys want to turn your cameras on, come into the room. So come on in.
Cool. If you could turn the camera on.
Oh, have I got you guys turned off?
Yeah, I think it looks disabled.
Here. Go to panelists. See what I said? More. Start video. Start video. How about that?
There it is.
There's Ruben, and there is Darius. So I want to welcome these two guys. I want to do a quick introduction. So Ruben is the CEO and the founder of the sales operating system Dubb, D-U-B-B, and he's the host of a top rising podcast called the Connection Loop Podcast. He's the author of a best new release on Amazon called Click Record. And when he's not working, he's with his family, he's at the tennis court, he's playing drums. And today, he and Darius, who's one of his co-founders with him with Dubb, they're in Hawaii. There you can see in the background some of the beautiful landscape. They're joining us. If you're listening to this on the podcast later, you can't see any of these beautiful palm trees and blue skies. Kind of looks like Nashville, right? Not at all. But Darius and Ruben, welcome to Entrepreneur Master Series. Glad you're here.
Welcome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you guys so much. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks for working with us. We've got good Wi-Fi, it seems. And as we set up shop, of course, the lawnmower gets turned on. Literally right as the webinar begins.
Dr. Carter's going to come along with the leaf blower as soon as we're in the meat of it. That might happen. So we might change location in mid-presentation. We'll see.
So I think our official new exit plan is to buy the hotel complex so that we can control when the gardening takes place. Right. So that's our exit plan.
That's the way it always is. You have a family get together, something, neighbor starts mowing the grass, starts making a lot of noise, but we're glad you're here. And so let's kind of do an introduction into what we're going to be talking about today. Now, for those that are here as the attendees, I want to tell you a couple things before I talk about the topic of today. My assistant, Megan, is in the chat room. She's here as a panelist. So she's going to be posting links, all the things that we talk about. So she's going to hit the everyone tab in the chat, and she's going to put out the links there. And when she puts the HTTP in front, the links will work. So I wish Zoom would, we got to figure, somebody's got to petition Zoom and tell them that, look, if we put the www dot, that's a flipping link. Why should you in Zoom chat, if you don't put HTTP : / it doesn't show up as a link. It's not clickable in the chat. But anyway, we're going to try to put the links that we talk about today in the chat. Megan is going to be handling that. And I want to let you know there's a Q&A bubble at the bottom of your screen. There's a Q&A bubble. And if you click on that, a Q&A pop-up window will show up, and you can ask questions throughout the entire webinar today. So make sure you use that. So let's talk about this. The topic today is how to raise or how to make $3.4 million using video for sales. So the thing here is that video can, of course, bump your closing rate tremendously if you know how to use it. And today, you're not only going to learn about how one company used video for sales to increase their sales by 3.4 million, but you're also going to learn the best practices for how to do it yourself, how to implement video into your own sales process. And you will be able to close more deals, attract more clients, and become seen as a trusted advisor using video for sales. And who better to help us with that than the two folks who started one of the largest video sales platforms in the world, Ruben Dubb and Darius Santos. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So Ruben, you and I you've been a guest on my podcast. I don't think it's released yet, but to listen to your story and how you started Dubb, I think folks need to go listen to the Root of All Success podcast, the Root of All Success. And I think that'll help you learn his story. But why video? What is so, Darius, Ruben, why video? What's so important about using video in general?
Well, I'll kind of share my opinion on this. The way that I think a lot about communication is communication should be effortless. It should be the ability for one person to speak, one person to listen, and then have some sort of a synchronous environment where this thing can take place in real time, right? That's sort of the traditional way of when we think about communication. Now, the problem with that is that it doesn't always work out like that. A lot of the times we can't get into a situation where we can listen or we can speak, and vice versa. We get into a situation where we are fighting to communicate. And in my opinion, there's something fundamentally wrong with that, because there's the act of communication, and then there's the act of, I really want to be able to be seen and heard. And one of the things that I have felt in my life is that, the people that provide the most value to us, people that sell things, are the people, unfortunately, that get rejected the most. They try to communicate, they try to provide value, they try to say, you've got a problem, here's a solution. And then they deal with that wall, that block. So what I have sort of dedicated my life to is allowing people to make that connection, that synchronous connection, that asynchronous connection sometimes, of being able to communicate. And Dubb allows people to do exactly this thing. So we always say, record from any device you have, send from any channel that you can, email, Gmail, LinkedIn, campaigns, SMS, whatever it may be, and create your communication. and go and put it out into the world and use the video reply feature so that you can communicate and that you can listen as well. And as a result, you can create more connections, more conversations, and ultimately more conversions.
Yeah. Darius, you want to add your 2 cents on that?
One of my favorite things, is we've all written a lot of emails, right? And no one's ever responded to those emails and said, wow, this was such an eloquent email. You're an amazing writer. This is incredible. No one's ever responded like that. Like the best response we ever get is thanks, I'll buy, or whatever, right? Like that's a great response. And the things that we actually get when communicating with via video is far better. I mean, this is one of those things where you have actually had to experiment this and try it yourself. But when you send a video to somebody, like a one-to-one video, like I recorded a video just for you and sent it to you, people react just far more positively than you'll ever get from a plain text email. So one of the biggest questions is why? Why would you use video instead of text? And the answer comes down to that's how we communicate. We've been engineered for 10,000 years plus to communicate like this. And this is what we're evolved to. And so that's a far more effective method of communication for us versus plain text, which only has come out in the past, couple thousand years. This has been hardwired for a long, long time.
So where do video and email intersect? Now we know that your Dubb platform, that's where you guys started, but why is that an important thing? I know both of you guys made an allusion to what that might be, but video and email, where do they intersect and how does that work?
So
yeah, well, Darius, after you.
Okay, yeah, no, my favorite thing is like we're all trying to drum up business, right? We're all trying to live the exit life. We're trying to get to this point where we can be comfortable. And so there's these practiced, repeatable, scalable efforts we need to do, right? Sending emails, making phone calls, LinkedIn messages, whatever they are. And it ends up being that those activities, you can send 10,000 messages and get one deal, or you can send far few messages to get that one deal. And that's really where the intersection comes in is there's these activities we have to do, repeatable activities, and making those activities more efficient, more effective. And that's really why we brought video to the channels that we're using. When we say email, really it's more than just email too, though. There's LinkedIn messages, there's text messages, there's whatever, channels that we're using to communicate. And it's about bringing this ability to communicate to those same channels. Because traditionally they've not been an option, right? With an email, you can send a text email, you can write a really nice long email, LinkedIn or whatever, but now we can actually add video, this component to email. Yeah.
Yeah, and my take on this is that when we think about sales growth, we think about if we are an entrepreneur, if we're a solopreneur, if we have a team of salespeople, if it's a small team, if it's a large team, we go to a whiteboard at some point and we say, what is our go-to-market strategy, our GTMS, right? And on that board, I've done this so many times, and it's such a fun experience because you start to create this little sort of tree, and it kind of looks like a family tree. The first thing is email, then the second thing is LinkedIn, then the third thing is advertising, right? And the fourth thing is original content, and the fifth thing is SEO, and then the next thing is referrals, and then the next thing is product, just happiness, integrated sort of marketing, and that list continues to go on and on. And what's really interesting about this conversation is that typically what happens in a sales effort is that email is the first channel. It's the first method of communication. Why is that? Well, number one, because anyone can now go to one of those websites, download leads of VP of sales, CEOs, CMOs, whoever your target client is, import those into some system, and then blast some email, and then put your feet up and sip your coffee and just wait till the millions and millions of dollars come in, right? I say that facetiously. And then as people have failures, they do one of two things. They say, I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to practice my email. I'm going to get better. Maybe instead of doing email blast, maybe instead of using MailChimp, I'm now going to use video. Maybe I'm going to use Dubb, or maybe I'm going to do one-to-one videos, or maybe instead of using SendGrid or MailChimp or Constant Contact, I'm going to connect directly to my Gmail account or my Outlook account. Maybe I'm eventually going to go one-to-one on my emails. Yes, it takes more time, but maybe I get a 10x referral rate. So they can continue to craft that and sort of perfect some of the things that they need to do within that initial channel. Or they can decide to jump to the next channel. Hey, email marketing doesn't work. Emails don't get open. Emails don't get read. I'm going to give up on that. Now I'm going to go to the next thing. What are we going to do? Oh, okay. Let's spend some money on ads. Great. Now we're in Facebook. Now we're in Google. Now we're in YouTube and the millions and millions of other places to advertise. And then we go and do that. And then the same thing might take place. We either get success, we get failure, and we decide to correct our failures, learn from them, iterate, or we decide to jump to the next channel. So what hurts me, what brings me pain is when I see people just floating from these lily pads, you know, saying this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. And then where do they end up? Do they end up in original content? That's a long play. Do they end up in SEO? That's an even longer play. Or do they actually decide to practice the craft and to really understand it? Like if anyone here in this room or that's watching this video has watched a masterclass that Darius has given on email marketing, I would say 99% of the people out there do not know the things that he knows, that he has learned being an expert in this space on how you have to configure your Gmail account, how you have to have a separate domain, how you have to warm it up, how you have to do email list validation, how you have to configure DKIM settings. I'm just getting started here, you know? So, you know, there's so many ways to iterate this. And the question is, do we go vertical? Do we go horizontal? Or do we go both? Now, Omni, being in all channels, is the ideal way to do it. Because if one channel has problems, then at least you can rely on some of your other channels. So you got to have all cylinders moving. You know, this is a V8, you know? This is an electric car with a motor on each wheel. We cannot be dependent on one power source. And that's really what we can get into in this conversation. I also have a very specific case study on how a particular Dubb user, Chris Kirkpatrick, actually generated a $3.4 million deal using Dubb. And it's such an interesting story that I can go very deep on because it starts with video and some of the history that Jason, we talked about in the podcast and so on and so forth. So happy to get into that.
Well, let me kind of tag on that because I think from I think all of us as armchair quarterbacks, just watching how we're just casual observers of how things are going in life. You tell me, where do you consume and how do you consume most of your media these days? I mean, I don't want to read the newspaper. I don't even want to watch the news on television. I get my news from TikTok. I'm not even kidding. Like I only know what's going on in the world because people on TikTok talk about it. I'm watching videos on my phone. I'm watching YouTube. I mean, we don't have cable service or DirecTV or anything anymore at the house. It's YouTube and Pluto and all these other things. So I'll go up into my bonus room and I'll sit down and turn YouTube on and I'll say, tell me about the new iPhone or tell me about the new BMW motorcycle. And that's how I learn things. I'm not asking people to send me brochures. And I think the reason I kind of asked you that question, where do email and video intersect, is because the cool thing about what you guys have developed and what, you know, it's not a technology unique to Dubb, although I think yours is the best, but it's making emails now consumable the same way we consume everything else. My assistant Megan, who's only been with me a couple of months, has never seen a video email before, and she saw me start sending these out, and she's wrote back. She's like, "This is amazing! I love because you get to interact." So tell us about this story. We got some really good questions that have already come in, and Scott, thank you for writing that. Timothy, thank you for writing. We will definitely get to all those. Keep putting your questions in the Q&A box. We're definitely going to get to all those. So Ruben, tell us this story because that was the teaser to get people here anyways. Like, how do you make $3.4 million? So tell us that story.
Okay, so I'm going to rewind a little bit and I'm going to get into why this story was so interesting for me. Okay. And where I'm going to take you guys is pre-Dubb. Okay, I'm going to take you to the Inc. 5000 company that I was working at prior to founding Dubb. That's actually where the whole idea for Dubb came about, because there was a department of 200 salespeople that were struggling to get email responses, struggling to get bookings, and ultimately, you know, hit quotas, right? So the company ultimately was doing well and it was growing, but they just needed optimization and fine tuning. So one of the things that they did was they sent out video brochures. Now, I don't know if you guys know what a video brochure is, but it's one of the most wasteful things that you can do on planet Earth. Okay, and I'm gonna share my screen real quick. I'm vehemently against these. Where's my screen share button? All right. Well, anyways, I'll come back to that. I mean, if you just go to Google and type in video brochure, you'll see it. It's a little brochure that opens, and there's two sort of, you know, LED, LCD video screens inside the brochure with some copy, right? And you know, you send this to someone via UPS or FedEx, and it's a nice envelope, and then they receive it, and then they open it, and they open the envelope, and they open the brochure, and then pop, a video auto plays, and it says, "Hi, my name is Ruben, and I would like to sell you on X," right? So they were doing this effort of these video brochures. Now, the reason I, you know, made the comment of these are wasteful is because this is sort of a one-time use type thing. It's a little video brochure that might end up on a bookshelf. It's not going to get repurposed. It's not going to get used again. It's just plastic and elements that are just going to sit there and eventually rot, right? So the first question is, did this drive sales? That's the first question. Was it justified to purchase those, which are like 60 or 70 bucks a pop? Not to mention the shipping, and then also the time and the effort and, you know, the waste and all that. So number one is, did those convert? So the answer is, I would say, meh. Okay, it was a meh effort. It wasn't like, let's blow this thing out of the park. Definitely some people responded, but a lot of people also said, listen, if you guys spend this much money on marketing, you know, and there's this much sort of inefficiency in your marketing, how are we going to be efficient in our advertising? How are we going to be efficient in our processes? So there was this idea of, you know, it's that idea when you meet someone and they're sort of wasteful, you're like, wow, that was really generous that you did this, but we're also going to waste all of this. It's kind of like when you go to a restaurant with someone, they order all this food and you have no way to take it back home. And it's just like, wow, that was kind, but it was wasteful. So there was this dichotomy in terms of the perception, right? So that was one of the initial ideas that got me thinking, like, the video, the message is what's amazing about this. It's not the medium, right? Marshall McLuhan, one of the fathers of branding, says the medium is the message, right? So in this case, the medium was a video, but it's also in something that we're going to eventually toss, right? So then that's what sort of got us thinking, well, why don't we just take the video and let's add that to email? Let's add that to LinkedIn. Let's add that to an email campaign. Now, all of a sudden, what we're doing is we're broadcasting a message. And guess what? It costs, most of the time, it costs $0.00. And most of the time, it's 100% efficient and eco-friendly. So it's like, it's a win-win-win, right? So what Darius was mentioning was this idea of, no one has ever said, wow, what an amazing email, you know, text-based email that you just sent. People are like, what an amazing video. Jason Duncan, what an amazing video you did. That's what people are hearing, and that's what people are saying, right? So now let's fast forward to this case study of what Chris Kirkpatrick was doing. So what he decided to do was sort of an A/B test for his campaign. On one hand, he would send video emails using Dubb, okay, with a really, really nice message. He had a nice little home office setup. He had a really great value proposition. You know, he practiced the way that he communicated. He was not salesy. He was very, very approachable, super clear targeting. You know, these people in these, you know, buildings require this service. I don't want to be the cheapest person. I don't want to be the most expensive person, but I want to show social proof. So he put together these videos where it was an introductory video followed by video testimonials and videos that basically said, this is why his company and his service is spectacular. And it's not just the company and the service, it's the experience. So he sort of played on this idea of the medium is the message, right? If you can expect, if you liked this type of communication where you get to see me, you get to feel me, you get to trust me, then maybe you'll love when we actually work together. So it's sort of this idea of saying it was sort of a preclusion, a preview, if you will, of this is how we're going to conduct business. And by the way, this is success from other people that have conducted business with us that are seeing results repeatedly, right? So you split A/B test this sort of a video / testimonial sequence, a playlist, if you will, and then an actual an Amazon Kindle. So you would use Dubb to record a video, record a bunch of videos, have a Dubb video landing page, and then have a little script in the Amazon Kindle where if you sent the Amazon Kindle to someone, that video, once you turn it on, that video would autoplay in a Dubb video. And then the playlist would take place and the calls to action were right there. Now, of course, you needed to configure your Wi-Fi if you wanted to get this done, but most people did that initially. He also uploaded the video natively onto the Amazon Kindle as well. So you could just click the button. Of course, that's not a landing page, that's just a video. So overall, you got a very, very positive response from this. People started to respond. People started to say, thank you for the email. Thank you for the Amazon Kindle. You're sort of obligated. A lot of the times people are obligated to respond back and say, thank you. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for taking a chance. Thank you for investing in me. Thank you for researching my company. Thank you for providing social proof. Thank you for addressing objections preemptively that I always might have with a salesperson, right? So there was a lot of gratitude that he received from this, and in that gratitude, that's where he built a pipeline of 10 or 20 or 30 deals, multiples of which closed into clients, one of which was a $3.4 million deal. And this wasn't just a one-time effort. This was a repeated thing. So entire pipeline is being built on this idea of meet me, meet my clients, meet the experience, call to action.
So he took the idea of a video brochure and actually made it work, because he's sending out a device that will play the right video, and then you can use the device for something else. It's not just a one-time use throwaway. So you're telling me that he closed a $3.4 million deal on that kind of concept?
That's correct. Yeah. And we actually did a whole case study. It's on the Dubb website. We'll share the link in the chat just momentarily. But what's interesting is that he's since moved away from the digital device because it's expensive. It's 50, 60, 70 bucks, so it's costly to do that. Right. So now he's moved completely to the digital realm. He's realized the Kindle was great, but let's send them a landing page. I always talk about this, but the most efficient way to communicate, that's what I opened with. The most efficient way is to have a person with a message, sound and light and story sent to another person to receive that. So that connection, however we can make that the most efficient as possible, is the ideal situation. It's probably not going to be using FedEx or UPS with an Amazon Kindle that costs 60 bucks. It's a cool way to start, and it's a cool way to drum up business and to sort of have that thing, but eventually it's not necessary. Ultimately, where he landed, and he's amazing at this, is a YouTube channel, original content, being a storyteller, being super value focused, not being salesy whatsoever, and then just repetition. Now there's a staff, the staff is sending videos on his behalf, and he's just ultimately become a storyteller. And now people are coming to him. It's a very inbound situation, and that's the dream. One of the biggest, I think the third step on the path to exiting without exiting, which is maybe 10 steps. One of those is creating an inbound only business. We actually don't need to go and have a sales department calling and cold emailing. Eventually, people are just coming to you because of the brand, because of referrals. In my opinion, that's step 3 or 4 on the way to the ultimate exit.
I agree. And I'm making a note right here to add this to my accelerator program. I have a coaching program, and I teach people some sales tools to use through the process. And unbelievably, Dubb has not been part of just the standard thing I talk about on a regular basis, but I don't know why. So you just saying that made me write a note. So let's go to the questions. We got a couple of some good ones. So Scott Woodworth asks, he's got actually 3 questions in this, so we can break it down into pieces. And Darius, I know you're really good at the technical stuff. So
yeah, I'm ready for this one.
So Scott says, my understanding is that video emails have a higher open rate than traditional email. Is that right? And then he asks a couple more. So let's just stop there and address that one first.
I'll break down each one of these actually. So part 1 there is video emails. Do they have a higher open rate? And so this has actually been studied by HubSpot, Campaign Monitor, by us, by several others. Just adding the word video to the subject line of your emails will increase your open rates anywhere from 10 to 20+%. So, and that's just across the board. So you write your regular subject line, just adding the word video to that subject line, split test that, right? Send 1,000 emails with one, send 1,000 with another. You'll get just an open rate of 10 to 20% increase across the board. So, and when we're talking about specifically these open rates in that question, the other part of this is the click through, right? So once they've actually opened the email, then that's when they see that there's a video in there. And that's really where the highest lift is applied, is that click through rate. So instead of 1 out of every 10 people clicking on the link, clicking on the thing in your email, it's now, 2, 3, 4 out of 10. And that's the type of data that we've seen as well. 300% increase in click through. HubSpot Campaign Monitor, again, they've studied this. It's anywhere from like 80 to 300 in their studies, increase in the number of people that have actually clicked on the email, responded to the email. So those two main metrics, getting your email opened and actually getting it clicked on, both increased by video, correct?
Wow. So, okay. So the answer to that is yes, Scott, it does increase your open rate. Now he asks then, does this open rate pertain to cold outreach as well as reaching out to people that you already know?
Yeah, no. So it does this specifically. We were talking here for cold outreach. So like open rates that we're talking about are on cold emails. These aren't for, like marketing type newsletter things. So all the stats that we're talking about are usually for cold outreach. This is actually one of the most common applications for video is cold outreach, because this gives you that opportunity to differentiate yourself from all the noise that's out there. Everyone else is using plain text. So when you have a video in your cold outreach, it instantly separates you from, 95% of the noise that's out there. And so yes, specifically for cold outreach, that's where these stats are actually coming from.
Yeah, and I would say that from my anecdotal evidence of using Dubb I've been a customer of Dubb for I don't know, long time, probably since you guys started. I was probably one of your first people you sent an email to that I opened and watched the video and decided. but I'm a huge fan. So the evidence that I would have, Scott, is that the answer to that is yes, because what I'm seeing is I've got a mastermind that I lead. I've got group coaching clients that come through my group coaching with individual clients. When I send the video emails through Dubb or from Dubb with Dubb, I get a higher, I don't know how to calculate it, but I could see how, when they're watching it, because that's the other part of the Dubb technology. It shows me when they opened it, how much of the video was watched, and I'm trying to woo customers with it. And I'm also getting, good conversations going with current customers. So yes, I think you can do both. Now, Scott finishes that questions with any suggestions just generally for cold outreach.
Yeah. So, I have a workflow. Can I share my screen here?
You have permission as far as I know.
Let me sign in here really quick. Yep.
And I wanted to just jump in for a moment here while Darius is setting up his screen. And I wanted to kind of share an idea that's I think critically important. And it took me a long time to understand this. And it's a simple statement. It doesn't matter what we say. It matters what they say. Now I'm going to repeat that. It does not matter what we say. It matters what they say. And what I mean by that is social proof. These are the testimonials. These are our happy clients that have seen results in working from us. These are the case studies that we've built. These are the thought leaders that we've interviewed, the podcast conversations that we've had, where we've learned things, where we've helped people, where we've exchanged some sort of a mutually beneficial arrangement, ultimately now that we can present to someone else. So if we adopt this mentality and apply it to our entire sales effort, it changes everything. Instead of doing sales pitches, we're sharing video testimonials. Instead of doing, discovery calls, we're sharing case studies. Instead of, asking people to respond to our emails, we're sharing recorded conversations that we've had that can educate people. So folks, I just want to remind everyone, it doesn't matter what we say. It matters what they say.
That's right. Darius, you get it figured out where you can share?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing on that too is the idea of cold outreach is changing, it's evolving, right? Like the door knocking, cold calling is still happening, is still taking place, but there's also people who are closing those channels off. Like people aren't as available in the office to answer their phones. They're not as receptible to those messages. So we need to find other methods and channels for outreach. And the most common approach is what Ruben was saying is we need to be more of a consultative approach, an educative approach, where we're not saying, hey, do you want to buy this? It's saying, hey, did you know about this really cool thing? Did you know about, I bet you didn't. I wanted to share this information with you. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, this guy knows some stuff that I didn't know. Maybe I should talk to him. So that's why this consultative, this educational approach is another method that a lot of people are doing. So real quick here, I'll show you, this is one way that people are using video to prospect, to do cold outreach. So actually this is Ruben's LinkedIn profile here. This is again, more of a specific for business to business approach, but a lot of people use this technique. So I'll show it to you guys now. Let's pretend that Ruben is the person we connected to, where you want to follow up with, we want to, reach out. So what I'll do is I'll click this little button right here. This is a part of our video technology. And what it allows you to do is record your screen. And you can record your screen, and it can include your little video down here. It can be your picture if you're having a bad hair day, or whichever combination. And so let's say Ruben's the guy, right? I want to connect to him. I could do something just like this. I press record and I say, hey, Ruben, wanted to make this quick video for you. My team and I actually produced something, and it comes right after this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I know you're going to find it interesting because some other CEOs just like yourself are seeing some pretty cool stuff using this. So let me know what you think. And again, thanks for your time. So that's just a really quick example of a type of video we can do for outreach. And now the reason I actually started here on Ruben's LinkedIn profile is actually very specific, because when we go to share this message, that's actually what the prospect is going to see. They're going to see their LinkedIn profile, which is a little bit more interesting than some of the stuff that maybe they don't recognize, right? If it's just plain text that looks like everybody else. So this is what that looks like when you're sharing this video via email, via LinkedIn. So right now we're inside of Outlook. Here's the integration, and I can share that video with just one click. And so this is, again, why I started on Ruben's LinkedIn, because when Ruben opens his email, his LinkedIn, either one, he sees this little 18-second video about him. He's probably going to recognize that. He's going to say, wow, this is a video about me. And again, this doesn't have to be their website. It can be, or their LinkedIn. It can be their website. It can be their business, right? You can actually go in front of their physical business and do a video from there. The idea is this little thumbnail is going to be far more interesting than anything else that they've seen that day, that week, that month, more than likely. So that actual workflow that I just showed you there, creating a custom video, short custom video, personalized to that lead by using their LinkedIn, their website, their Google Maps, their business, right? Something of theirs in the thumbnail. That's going to give you a higher reply rate, click-through rate, open rate than any other form of a cold message that you send out there. I can almost guarantee it.
Well, let me say a couple of things on that, Darius. I'm glad you did that. So for those that are listening to this only or not being able to watch it, whether they're watching or listening to the replay or they're listening to it on my podcast later, what Darius just did is to record a video on top of Ruben's LinkedIn profile, and it had Darius's video like in the middle of it. So his face is in there talking. And then he took a screen, it automatically did it, but took a little thumbnail screenshot GIF of that and popped it in the email. So what that does, as he just said, is that when Ruben opens that email and he doesn't know Darius, he knows his own face because that's what he's looking at in the thumbnail. It's Ruben's looking at himself in this email, like, what the heck's going on? And I'll tell you, from my experience, this actually happened to me, I think twice over the last 6 months. I don't know what software they were using, but I had people reach out to me through LinkedIn, which is one of the questions Timothy asked. We'll get to his question in a minute, but these guys, it was two different people, two different companies, sent me a video in LinkedIn of my website. And so when I saw the LinkedIn message, I saw a little GIF of the thumbnail, and I recognized immediately that was my website. And then I saw the little circle with the guy's face in it, and I clicked play. And you know what? Both those guys got a phone call with me. Like I granted that. You know how many people reach out to me through LinkedIn that I just hit delete? I'm just not interested whatsoever. But I granted phone calls to these guys. Now, neither one of those guys ended up selling me, but that's because of their product, not because of the way they reached out to me. But they got in front of me, and that's the cool thing. So Timothy Whalen, by the way, Scott, thank you for asking those questions. Great questions. Timothy Whalen asks, can you post a video in LinkedIn And if so, how do you do it? So I know that Dubb's technology certainly allows that. So Darius, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah. So there's actually direct integrations with LinkedIn where anywhere you can write a message, do a post, comment, sales navigator, you can see there's a little Dubb button built right into that tool. So all you have to do is click the Dubb button and it accesses your library. So there's the one I just made, and you can insert that and share it. So this same integration is available for all types of messaging on LinkedIn. But one thing specifically there is with the post. So when you're posting to LinkedIn, they want you to upload an MP4 video natively. So this is just an algorithm thing for Facebook, for LinkedIn. You'll want to upload the video natively, but Dubb does give you that option as well. So you take the Dubb video, take your closed captions, and then upload it. But if you're messaging it, then you're going to use the integration. So there's a little bit of a different use case there. If you're sharing it as a post, you need to upload natively. Otherwise, they just don't show it to anybody. But if you're messaging, if you're directly commenting to somebody, then you'll use the integration to drop it in.
Well, so Timothy asks a follow-up. Well, I don't see that on my LinkedIn account. And Timothy, what I think probably you're seeing there is once you download Dubb to your computer and upload the Chrome. Anyway, I should let Darius answer, but you got to download it and have it on your computer first. It's not a LinkedIn tool; it's a Dubb tool that you put onto LinkedIn. So Darius, tell them how to do it.
Right. Yeah. So if anyone wants to do that little piece that I just showed you, record the videos. Jason, you have your partner link, right?
I do.
All right, drop that in here. It's dubb.com/r/Jason Duncan. There you go.
We've got ours at the real Jason Duncan.
Oh,
Oops,
okay,
I spelled it wrong. I just realized I spelled my doggone name wrong. So forgive me, folks. I got to change that.
Jowson.
Yeah, Jason, that won't take you anywhere. If there's a website with that somewhere,
somebody else did it already.
Who knows? But anyway, so that second link, that's I got an affiliate link with Dubb, and you can get free stuff. But once you download that, Timothy, this is where it all starts working.
There is a completely free trial, free version on there. So you don't even need to put a credit card or anything to get that effort. And I always encourage people to send a handful of videos to some current clients. If you're shy to send them to new people, communicate with some existing customers, some existing clients, and you're going to see some feedback that you've never, ever received from text. And you're going to be like, okay, people like this. People like receiving videos, and it's going to motivate you and your people to send more. Yeah.
So Timothy says he has it on his Gmail account. So is there something extra special you have to do to get it on the LinkedIn side?
No. As long as if you have it in your Gmail, make sure you're logged into the extension. So here, I'll show one more time. Make sure when you are inside of Dubb, you're logged into the extension like this. So when you click on it, it actually pops open. And then as long as that's the case, you'll have those little buttons inside of LinkedIn everywhere.
All right. What about, so Timothy says, I love the program, lots to learn. Yeah, it is. There is a lot to learn, and it's so much more than just putting videos and emails and on link. There's so much more than that.
I was going to say, Jason, I do host I don't know if you know this, but I host a live training session every weekday, not this week because we're living the exit life, but next week, every weekday, I host a live training session where I like to just talk to everybody, bring them into a session like we're doing now, and really just powwow on Dubb itself. So if anyone wants to ever take advantage of one of those, they can register here.
Yeah, that's great.
Link in there, dubb.com/T. So we're always willing to chat with people. So
I want to thank, I mean, we got lots more to talk about, but I want to say we got a lot of people that are here. Ben, Brian, Carrie, Phil, Kinman, Fritz, we got Raymond, Scott, Deronda. Thank you guys for being here. If you got questions about this, about email marketing in general, video marketing in general, drop it in the Q&A. Let's talk about that, because it's, you see where the questions come in, that's where we start digging deep.
Right.
So let me ask a question, Darius. So in terms of videos, what are some of the best practices, regardless of whether we use Dubb or anything else, because that's obviously a tool that's one tool among many.
Yep.
But what are some best practices for communicating sales messages using video?
I think the most important thing, a couple of key takeaways. One is, don't try to do a full sales presentation over a video. Right? Like, you're not doing a 30-minute sales demo. Like if you were in person talking or you booked the sales meeting, don't send that over as your first point of communication. If someone's requested information and they said, hey, this sounds interesting, then by all means, send them what you have to send them. But as a first touch point, like when we're doing business development, prospecting, lead, generation, then we want to be very brief, with our messages and provide what I like to call the home runs, right? You watch a baseball game and you people can stand to watch the home runs. Everyone can watch home runs. That's exciting. But few people would sit through the 3-hour plus games, right? Think about that with your video messages in the same way. You just want to provide them with the home runs. So it's not a full sales pitch. It's what's the most interesting highlight reels you can show them about how you can help their business in a short way. And that's the most important thing with these prospecting videos, the business development videos, is they're brief, right? We're not doing, hey, I wanted to tell you everything about myself, my business, my family, how we're going to help your business, everything, right? It's, hey, just want to introduce myself, let you know I'm a person over here. We're actually helping real people like yourself, real businesses. Here's some results. Here's some information, right? You decide. So don't try to hard sell over and then don't do a full sales pitch, and keep it brief. Those couple things are the most important, because we still have to sell after this, right? It's the idea of using video in this method, particularly when we're talking about business development, is to capture their interest, to break apart from all the noise that's out there. So that's what we're trying to focus on, is doing really good prospecting. And that means short messages, highlights, to the point.
Yeah. So what I hear you saying is that one of the best practices is just make your video is to get their attention and get them to listen. And then it's your job now to take that to the next step. So that's one. Are there other best practices for using video in sales?
I have a best practice that I wish more people did, actually, frankly. And it's the following. What I mentioned earlier was it's not what we say, it's what other people say, right? And there's this idea of how many people in sales actually go and speak to existing clients to sort of interview them, to understand what the case study has been, to see what the results have been. Most people in sales, what they might do is, if they have a quota, if they have a goal, they're going to say, great, what are my prospects? What's my story? What's my pitch? And how do I connect those two dots? Little do they realize, a lot of them at least, there's this whole other success history that has taken place with these previous customers. Most people in sales either A, do not interview existing customers, or B, they're not allowed to. These are two fundamental problems. If I were given a goal to go drive, $3.4 million in sales, it would not be, let me go to my prospects, let me start selling people. It would be to go to my existing customers. Whether I sold them or the last guy did, totally not relevant. I would go to them and I would interview them, and I would understand what has worked, what has not worked. And I would record that Zoom, right? And I would absolutely make sure I was being a stellar listener and fixed whatever problems they were happening. Because I can't just go in and be selfish, because it's never going to be 100% perfect. They're going to say, I'd love to have X, I'd love to have Y, I'd love to change Z. And you have to do that, which means you now need to sort of collaborate with the marketing team and the product team and customer service, or if it's your own business, your own process. But what you also can do through that recorded Zoom conversation is that you can build a testimonial, you can build a case study. And now all of a sudden you have fuel, you have something that you can put in a sales video. Remember, it's not what we say, it's what they say. And by recording something in Zoom, you can create a video testimonial. You can also use the video reply feature, which is a lot easier. It takes a lot less time. It's much more shorter. It's a much less controlled environment, but you can get some fantastic videos through the video reply features. So Darius, maybe you can show that, but it's a one-click call to action. Anytime you send a video to someone, they can click on it, they can record from their webcam, from their phone, and then upload that back to you so that you can receive that in your account. And then effectively you can use that as a video testimonial. So Darius can show that.
Yeah, so this is actually it here, where you can see there's just a one-click situation where somebody can respond with a video of their own as well. So Ruben's best practice here is to leverage social proof, right? Leverage your testimonials, your success stories in your actual sales effort. It is a little bit, it's like down the pipeline, right? Like they say, here's your sales cycle. But I mean, testimonial social proof can be one of the first stages in the sales cycle sometimes, right? Not naturally where it comes about. Sometimes they find awareness, discovery, whatever, and then they find out the social proof. But having that as a forward-facing asset can really shorten your sales cycle. It can make it where they see these testimonials and that social proof much sooner. And then using technology, it's been easier than ever to capture this sort of social proof. They don't need to download or sign up or install. You don't need a crew. They just need a device and click a button.
Well, before you stop your screen share, the next question was asked by Angela Marsh. She says, can you add your contact information on top of the video? So if you kind of show, you were just talking about what that looked like to the CTAs, the calls to action, but your contact information, the way Dubb software is set up, it's below the video.
Right. Technically, the location of the contact information would be below the video. So you can put whatever you want there, phone numbers, emails, websites. They can also click these buttons to engage with your contact information. So one click to open a Facebook Messenger chat or WhatsApp or a text message or a phone call. They can book a time in a calendar. Virtually anything you want them to do, they can do so right from the video.
Awesome. Good, good. Well, so what's the difference? Why would we want to use a tool like Dubb? Why couldn't I just go record it on my phone, upload it to YouTube, and send a guy a YouTube video? What's the difference of using a video integrated tool like Dubb versus just YouTube?
That's a really good question. I have one other thing though on the best practices really important, which is you got to be yourself. Like when Ruben and I started this, we used to do the same thing. We were very guilty of this. We'd go, okay, I'm going to present now and I'm going to speak and we're going to do this thing, like it just this crazy thing. Cause you think you're like, oh, well, we're a presenter now, we're going to speak. And it's totally not worth it. It detracts from your presentation. It detracts from your ability to speak, to convey information. It just takes away from all of it because you're trying to do this thing instead of just being yourself. And I think everyone's instinct is to do that. When they first get on video, they they become something, and it's like we got to let that go. It's a bad instinct that we all have. Just be yourself, because ask any salesperson, you can talk to your clients, right? And like, yeah, I'm great on the phone, in person, I'm good, but video is like, what? It shouldn't be that way. We should just be the same exact person we are on video as we are in person. It took a while for me to let that go. Like, I don't know how long, but it's only been beneficial to just let go of any of that pressure that you put on yourself to be something else. Just totally be yourself 100% of the time, and better and more effective, more efficient, all of it.
True. And that's such a mindset shift. And so if anybody needs a mindset coach, I have one I could recommend, but that's really what this is. It's such we're back in the day before cell phone or smartphones, right? If you heard your voice on a recording, everybody went, ooh, that doesn't sound like me at all. When in fact, that is exactly what you sound like to everybody else. So video is going to be the same way. Now we're so used to hearing ourselves through recorded videos and messages, type of thing. It doesn't matter anymore, but video, you'll get there. You got to be yourself, but you just got to get over it and get out there, because nobody's as critical of you as you are. So don't worry about it. Exactly. So what about this YouTube question, Darius? Why not just do a YouTube link?
Good stuff. Okay. So the most important thing here is it's like, if you could use a software to send 10,000 emails at once, or if you could send 10,000 emails one at a time through Gmail, which one of those seems like the better option, right? Using the software that's been built to make your efforts scalable and repeatable and built for growth. So conceptually, that's really what we're talking about here is, you're going to use a software to send 10,000 emails, trackable individual, or you're going to one at a time send 10,000 emails. One of them is far more efficient, effective, built for the goals you're trying to accomplish. So that's what it is conceptually. Now, when we actually look at the technical side of what we're talking about, so option one, record a video from your cell phone, from some software on your computer, upload that to YouTube, right? We're already talking minutes of your time there to record a video from your phone or from a device, and then to upload that to a YouTube channel. That's several minutes of time already that's been used on this one video. Now, from there, we need to take that YouTube video and then build a landing page for it. Or if we're going to drive traffic to YouTube, look at YouTube, right? It's full of distractions, advertisements. It's literally designed to take the attention away from your business, because there's nothing on YouTube about your business. It's everybody else's business over here, everybody else's comments and things, advertisements in your videos, right? It's literally designed to take the attention off of your business. So what businesses do, what they used to do, is they would come build websites or landing pages where they can embed their video that they uploaded to YouTube. And then so now to come build this website or landing page, that's a minimum of like what, 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes if you have a template or something, or like hours of you uploading custom images and logos and layout to get this landing page to look how you want for your business. So all of a sudden, just the first 2 steps here that Dubb does in literally 10 seconds, right? You press record, Dubb does all of this. We're looking at anywhere from a half hour or more of time that it would have taken to create this equal thing. So instant websites, instant uploads, 1-click recording. And so really end up being a time factor is more than anything else. To do what Dubb does is going to take you hours out of your time versus doing it all in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So
that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Our whole point is getting their attention. And so in the email conversions, one of the earlier questions we had is about email conversions. So in email conversion, just mentioning the word video in the subject line gets a 10 to 20% bump in the open. But then once they open that, if they have to go anywhere else, then you're losing the opportunity to convert. And that's the problem with YouTube, is that you've got to send somebody somewhere else from the email that they've opened to watch it, where Dubb has that GIF playing right there. They click and it immediately opens up and starts playing that video. So that's really interesting. We got a couple of more questions that have come in. Phil, thank you for asking these questions. And by the way, I've seen a few questions come through on the chat box. And the chat box, that's fine. I'm glad you guys are chatting it up, but we have the questions need to be in the Q&A, or we'll miss them. We'll miss some of the questions that come through. So Phil asks, did you speak or could you speak to the most common platforms that Dubb integrates with? So what are the places where it integrates?
So, I mean, what are the platforms that you would use in your business? The most common names that come to mind, right? Like Salesforce or HubSpot or MailChimp or ActiveCampaign, like any of these tools, we all have integrations with already. So all the most popular, you type in CRM, you type in email marketing automation, we're going to integrate with all those platforms already. So Keep or Infusionsoft, or like I said, MailChimp, in any of these systems that you can name that are in the news, we're going to directly integrate with those already. And we can also add integrations faster than anybody else. So even if it's a platform that's not on the most common list, we have 50 plus integrations already available.
Yeah. So, and so we've already seen a couple of those. Outlook, you use Outlook. I'm a Gmail guy, so I know it integrates in Gmail. There's the LinkedIn integration. So on the tools that you're using on a day in and day out, it already integrates.
Yeah. And that's depending on the platform, there will be a different type of integration. So a lot of the platforms, I'll share my screen here again. What I'm showing here, guys, is there's a shortcut built into the interface of the tools that you guys are using. So like this is Outlook that I'm showing now. There's a little Dubb button built right into the bottom of there. It's in the Outlook marketplace. Same thing with Gmail. So if you guys are in Gmail, there's a little Dubb button built right into that as well. So this is what some of the integrations look like. Sometimes if it's a big email tool like a MailChimp or something, there won't be a button like this, but the integration is still available through the copy and paste. So you take your video and you send it through MailChimp with the copy and paste option, and the integration is provided that way.
So Phil follows up with that question with, can you speak to any built-in security that's in the application and how to use it?
Yeah, absolutely. So our platform is at the highest level of security. Fortune 500 companies trust us with all their security. We have Cloudflare, HTTPS security on all pages. It's a highly secure platform. We have all of our industry standard best practices for keeping data secure. So
yeah. I would, and I would imagine that, that's been foremost in your mind with the current times that we're in right now. So it behooves all of us to pay attention to that. So Phil, that's a very, very good question that you asked there. So, because I don't think most people think about it on the surface, but it's really there.
You assume like, hey, it's safe, right? And in this case, yes, we have Fortune 500 people that have a lot of pressure to keep their contacts safe. So yes, they're safe with us.
All right. So good question there. So William asked this question, Darius specifically, are there plans to allow integration of short music clips with the video, kind of like you do in TikTok?
Right. So actually the Dubb mobile app, guys, people call this TikTok for business. I did not make that up. So the Dubb mobile app has many of the same features, guys. There's a built-in teleprompter. So you can actually give yourself a script to record from on your phone. It'll auto scroll at your speed. There's multiple clips, so you can pause and flip it just like on TikTok. You can do little bursts. there is actually a library of royalty-free music on there. Now it's not like the top 40 like TikTok. It's going to be royalty-free music. Actually, that's available. You can publish your videos on to use anywhere. So there will be that. And then there's also clip merging you can do. So you can take all those little clips and merge them into seamless, one video, music, teleprompter. Yeah. So, and you can also take your TikTok videos and upload those straight to Dubb. Any video from any source, you can actually upload to Dubb and then have it available through the integrations, get the tracking information on it as well. So yeah, built-in TikTok for Dubb on the app. And you can also take any video from anywhere and add to Dubb.
Well, we've talked about YouTube a couple of times, and I think that if people are not paying close attention, you might have thought I meant it that YouTube is a competitor to Dubb, and that's not at all the case.
Right? No,
in fact,
both.
You've got an integration piece with Dubb and YouTube that I didn't know until recently, and that is this: that guys, if you have a YouTube video that you want to share and send it through Dubb. And then Dubb will actually still permit YouTube to count all the watches and views and time. That's the cool part too. You don't have to put it in two different places. Because I know, like when I did my TED Talk back in April, TED won't let me put that video anywhere else. Like it has to only be viewed through their channel, which I understand. So what I had to do is put it in a playlist, but I can also drop it in Dubb, and all the clicks, all the likes, all the views still go through the same platform. So I thought that was a clever idea. Yeah. That must have been your idea. Ruben, surely he didn't come up with that, right?
No, Ruben's the YouTube guru. He's the one that I think helped build that one out. Our YouTube stuff. The YouTube piece is a two-way integration, in fact, where you can take your videos and upload them straight to YouTube. So you can record your video on Dubb. You can record your screen, your TikTok video, whatever, and upload straight to YouTube. And then you can actually take your YouTube videos and import those to Dubb. And it's going to do, like you just said, it's going to strip out all of the branding and the advertising and the junk from YouTube. And it's going to be your own private professional little portal there. And then it also provides the tracking. So you can actually see how much your video is getting watched versus, whatever. So
the tracking stuff is like mind blowing. I know somebody said somewhere in here we had a mind blown comment. I don't know who it was that said that earlier.
I saw that one too. Yeah.
But one of the mind blowing things is the tracking capability. Like I know that some of you guys have already clicked on that link that we just shared because my phone just alerted me. Somebody clicked on that link. It's such a neat thing, and it helps us be better salespeople. When we're selling, if we know how people are interacting, because if I send that link out and nobody clicks on it, I'm like, well, okay, that sucked. I gotta come up with something better. So got a couple of another integration question real quick. Or you want to show something, Darius? Before we
I was showing here's what that looks like. So you actually get to see in real time who's watching the video, where they are, what percentage, how many times. This gives you far more intelligence for things like follow-up than you would ever get with a regular email. So if they buttons as well. Did they click any buttons below the video? If yes, which buttons, how many times? So again, just a lot more intelligence than you get from regular email.
Yeah, for sure. Well, like YouTube has just gotten rid of the dislike now. We don't even know how many people have disliked it. It's just one. You get the thumbs up, or you could click the thumbs down button, but it really doesn't do anything. And I think that happened after. Wasn't that a Biden speech or something that there were so many they just got? I don't know. Maybe that's folklore, right. But it happened recently. Well, Fritz, go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
Fritz asked the question about integration with Mac Mail. He says, does it integrate with Mac Mail?
So there's not a little shortcut button built into Mac Mail the same way it is with Gmail and Outlook, because Gmail and Outlook actually provide their own extension stores, right? They have their own little marketplace where you can add on stuff to Gmail and Outlook. I don't think Mac Mails is robust enough for that yet. So while there's not a shortcut built in, you can always utilize the universal copy and paste option. So when we ask what platforms it integrates with, technically almost every single one, there is a near universal integration where you can copy and paste the video through any email client, Mac Mail, Yahoo, any social media platform, even if it's in another country, doesn't matter. Text message, any way you can communicate, we can copy and paste the videos through those channels.
So that's That's a good point. Let me also ask this to kind of get back. We're going to circle back to just video selling in general. So Kenman, if I'm saying your name right, Kenman Pittman asked this question: is there ever a good time to try to sell using video? Because I know you said earlier one of the first best practices you mentioned, Darius, was don't try to make your sales pitch using this video.
Right.
But is there? I think what he's asking is there ever a time when you can do that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that it's when I say don't pitch, it's like a bad cold call, like you pick up the phone, you're like, "Hi, would you like to purchase this thing?" Like that's a terrible cold call, right? And the video is the same way. So don't do that is what I mean, because the results are going to be the same. It's just a bad form of communication because nobody wants you to just try to shove something down their throat. So when it comes to video selling, it's the same concept where you're not just saying, "Hi, I'm doing this video because I'd like you to purchase my good. This is how much it costs." It's more of a consultative, communicative, educative approach where you're saying, "Hey, I just wanted to put a face to the name and tell you more about this opportunity. Did you know that XYZ is actually achievable? Check this out. Let me know what you think." That's what I mean by the pitch. It's not saying, "Hi, I wanted to tell you this product or service is this much money. Please purchase below." So it's the same concept there where you can pitch, but it's not. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a good cold call, bad cold call, right? It's like telling you don't make cold calls. Don't do that, but they got to be good. So, and that's what I mean is the pitch. Just don't make a bad pitch because it won't result in anything different than a bad phone call or email would.
Yeah, and I think that goes to the golden rule principle in sales, just in general. Well, it's not just sales, but everything. Don't do to other people what you wouldn't respond to on your own. Like if you are not going to read a treatise written in an email that's like 18 paragraphs, you have to keep your thumb gets tired scrolling through this thing. If you're not going to do it, don't send that. If you're not going to watch a 15-minute sales pitch from a cold call, that you've never talked to, don't send those. So I think that's the golden rule. Jesus was right. If we just treat other people the way we want to be treated, this whole world would be a better place. Phil's got a question. Phil's got a question. Go ahead, Darius.
The last part of that is I would say that the pitch is more okay, especially when they've said, if you did that first video or they've shown some level of interest, right? They raised a hand. They said, that sounds interesting. They said, send it over, right? They said something like that. Then you can give them your nice little home runs. Again, not a full 30-minute hour. Don't do that. Get them in your call, but you can hit them with something longer, something more informative if they've requested it.
This is good stuff. Ruben, you got any notes on any of the stuff we've been talking about?
I was really quickly going to say, there's this old saying, it's don't do as I say, do as I do. So, here we are with the real Jason Duncan, who's, the best coach on the planet when it comes to creating an exit lifestyle, right? And ultimately getting to that place, because why else are we doing all this? And I think what's really interesting is that, Jason, what you've done such a good job at is to become a personality, to start your podcast, to start your YouTube channel, to, create your body of work so that when people want to learn about you, they can go discover your content without ever having met you. So I presume what happens a lot to you is that people say, I love that TikTok video that you recorded and shared that got millions of views. And I love that podcast that you recorded with that guy, Ruben. And, it's amazing. It's amazing what you've done. It's amazing what you've done. So I just want to, for everyone in this webinar, I just want to remind them, we're all giving great tips here and we should definitely do these things, but let's also do what Jason's doing because he's doing it right, and, become a creator, get your YouTube channel, get your podcast, find your voice, get yourself out there in some capacity, because, what does email look like? If we're in sales, what does email look like in 5 to 10 years? Is email going to look like the way that, Jason, one of the first things that you mentioned about your LinkedIn inbox is that you delete a lot of those messages. Yeah. So ultimately, where are messages as emails and LinkedIn and SMS, where are those going to go? Are they not going to be seen? We have a promo folder in Gmail or Outlook right now where a lot of our promotional messages go. That promo folder does not yet exist in SMS yet. It's coming. I can guarantee it. I can guarantee in Apple and Android, there's going to be 2 folders. There's going to be contacts and there's going to be promos. And in the promo folder, that's where things are going to go to die. It's the messages, it's the marketing things, it's all those things that maybe we just ignore. So the way to overcome this is to say, I'm going to continue to do my emails, to do my LinkedIn, to do my SMS, to do my calls, to continue to do that, but on a parallel track to be more like Jason Duncan.
Well, I don't know, man. I appreciate those kind words. I tell you that consistency outperforms smarts and intelligence and funding every day. And it's this whole thing for me. I started my podcast 2 years ago and started doing video content in 2019. So this is a long time of it's a consistent practice in the same direction. I think that's what gets us to success. And that's why I'm able to talk with the founders of one of the greatest video platforms on the planet. I mean, otherwise, how would I have the opportunity to talk to you guys and have you come in from Hawaii of all places and spend some time doing a webinar for people, for goodness sake. But thank you for doing that. We got a couple of other questions. Now, Darius just posted in the chat box about to Scott, because he was talking about this. He says studies show proposals sent with videos have a 40% higher conversion rate, because Scott kind of made this point in the Q&A box. Hey, it's great to use video to walk through proposal. And Scott, you're so right. I mean, think about how many times we get these proposals and emails that are proposals to us to buy stuff, and we just kind of skim it. Like, I don't know, it's too much legalese for me. But what if that guy sent it with a video, or the girl sent it with a video that just did walk through the highlights? This is what this means. This means that we can't sue you, you can't sue us, and blah, blah, blah. This means that. This means here's how much you're going to pay, and here's for how long. And just a quick walkthrough. It could take 2 minutes. That'll have a higher conversion rate than just sending a PDF and an email.
This is actually one of the things that's been studied as well. So if you Google that stat, that's other people have studied this. Adding video to your proposals will boost your conversion on those. So absolutely.
Now, a technical question here. Phil is asking this. He says, if someone has multiple brands, multiple emails, multiple lines, do they typically or are they required to have Dubb account for each one of those things, or can you use one Dubb account for each of those emails?
Really good question. And now, so technically it's not set up to do a good job of representing multiple brands. Here's sort of the limitation. So this subdomain right here, where it says corp.dubb.com, that's going to be the same exact subdomain across all of your accounts. So if you have different URLs, or you need different URLs, like one says business1.dubb, business2.dubb, that wouldn't work. The logo. So this element here, the logo, this is a consistent element across all of your videos as well. So unless you have a single logo that can work for all of your brands, you would need more than one account. Finally, there's also this little section right here, your sort of email signature, video signature section. This contact information will also all be the same. So if you have a website or social links or a phone number or whatever, it'll be the same information on all of your video pages at once. So I have seen smaller companies that will put generic information here, or opt to remove certain information. Like they just don't put the website there because they don't have one website that works for multiple businesses. So I've seen the both, but it's very possible to use one account for multiple, but it's not technically set up for that because you can only represent one brand well at a time.
Yeah, Phil, I feel you, Phil, because I have 6 companies, and there are times when I would love to send a Dubb video through one of my others, but the way I have it set up, I can do that because my brand is just the Real Jason Duncan. It's not per company, so I can send that and doesn't make a weird thing. But I also own a lighting company, and if my Dubb account was set up specifically as the lighting company ELS, and then I sent that to one of my potential coaching clients, it would be like, what is this? I thought he was so I guess if you have a personal brand, I think is what we're getting to. It's easier, Phil, to do that for multiple companies, but that's a toughie, because I get it. I understand the dilemma there.
Yeah, personal branding is big too, because the branding aspect of it, right? You need your logos in front of people, right? You need your branding out there to create that recognition. So if we're working on branding, then you'll probably need a single Dubb account for.
So we're talking about best practices earlier. So we got, you said make sure that you're not trying to sell, you're not doing the full pitch. Second, you said, hey, you need to be yourself. What about microphones and lighting and backdrops? Are there certain things that we need to think about when we're doing video sales that way? Because I think that's something that no matter if we're using Dubb or we're just doing YouTube or TikTok or anything else, what do you think about that?
best practice there is like any modern phone, like any cell phone that's come out in the last couple of years has amazing cameras on it. Like I just mentioned, the Dubb mobile app makes that super easy as well. You have your teleprompter. So a cell phone's a perfect device. Some people ask like, well, is it weird if I have this shaky like selfie? Like, no, actually, we have top performing sales coaches, like number 1, number 2 in the country right now in terms of their sales coaching programs. And they coined the term, shaky selfies to CEOs. Like they do that. They on the self and then successfully. I don't mean just saying that they're spamming him. Like he gets meetings booked with CEOs of huge companies from sending shaky little cell phone videos, because it's not about the quality of having it. Oh, you need this mounted and professionally lit and things like that. Those are far less important than the message itself, than the consistency itself, than this one perfect video that took this amount of dollars and this much time to make is never going to perform as well as the 300 videos that you were able to get out in that same amount of time and budget and effort. So the production quality, I would say the only thing important is you want decent front lighting. So like I wouldn't want my video facing this way, because then I look black, right? This front facing lighting is a lot better, a lot friendlier. They can see you. It doesn't look like you're in a shadow. So as far as lighting goes, that's really the only important thing, is making sure you have some sort of front facing lighting that your face isn't in shadow, because it looks like you're a mysterious thing or something, right? Just looks weird. Don't do that.
You got to mask your voice.
Right. Yeah. I'm yeah. And then the microphone piece, like you said, most of these devices have decent microphones. Like as long as you're not a mile away from it, like, right here, audio is probably pretty good. Cell phones audio is probably pretty good unless you're far, far away. If you're doing distance shots, like you have your phone on a tripod and you're 6 feet away, you will probably need a lav, like an external microphone or something like that, because if your audio is really distracting, like there's traffic or wind and you can barely hear, or it's like you're having to listen in really close, it's probably detracting from the message. So you just want a good core audio, right? Nothing crazy, but also not distracting. Traffic, wind.
This is a true story. This will be a little levity for the conversation today. So election day was just last week, right? So here in Sumner County, Tennessee, just north of Nashville, so I'm probably calling out who I'm talking about. And I certainly don't mean to. I'm just using it as an example. But we were looking at who to vote for one particular local election, and the two people running were in the same party, so it wasn't like I had to make a party decision, but they were in the same party running for the same office. And my wife and I are like, well, let's look them up, let's see what it is. And we go to the first guy. He's got a website, nice stuff, and everything looks fine, nothing out of the ordinary. We go to the next guy. I couldn't find a website, but he had a Facebook page. I thought, okay, well, that's pretty normal. Some people don't have websites. I clicked on his Facebook page, and the first post was a video of him. And I thought, okay, well, let's watch it. And he was standing about 10 feet away from the camera. I couldn't hardly see him, and I couldn't hear anything but the beep, beep, beep of a truck that was backing up. That's all I could hear. And my wife, this is no lie. Like we hit the play, we got about maybe 10 seconds into that video, and we looked at each other and went, nope, vote the other guy. I'm serious. That's the decision we made. We made that decision in 10 seconds watching a terrible video. The guy might have been the better candidate,
right?
But how he presented, didn't get it.
The medium is the message.
That's so true. Well, we've only got about 10 or 12 minutes left in our time together. What are the other big ideas that you want to leave the audience with today on why video for sales?
I think it's your thing. Yeah, no, I think it's a couple core concepts.
Speaking of bad sound.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a couple of core concepts there that, adding video to a message is the belief that it's going to perform better than plain text. People, I think, have to just try it first. Because you're like, yeah, okay, maybe. But when you actually do a split test, like send 100 plain text messages and then send 100 messages with a video and measure and see which one gets better responses, which one gets more responses, more business for your business. Almost every time every single time we've ever measured it, it's been the video outperformed. The only time we've not measured it, right? We didn't measure it, and then we don't know. So that's the number one thing there. And I would say is try it for yourself, right? No credit card. You can do it completely for free. and test it in your business. Because everyone has that question too. It's like, well, okay, maybe for your business, but my business is different because I do this or that, right? Try it in your business and you'll see the difference there. And then the reason I encourage this is because it's for everybody's benefit, right? Not even tied to anything that we're doing. Like you said, there's more than one platform that can send video messages out there. I encourage you guys to use them though, because I know that at the end of the day, it will help your business. So that's the most important thing is try it, use it.
Well, I could tell you again, anecdotally from my experience is that from using, when I committed to video, like a full commit, full send, I'm clicking record. I'm doing like Ruben's book, click record, which you guys should go check out. Ruben's, you just drop the link to where to buy that book in the chat. So everybody sees that. But when I made the full commitment to do that, it changed the way people perceived me. It changed the way they would react to me. And for the better. Like it's like, hey, you got outliers where people go, who does he think he is? But those aren't my target. I'm not worried about those people. I'm only worried about the people that are interested in what I'm offering. And committing to video and sales is phenomenally will phenomenally improve your attraction, your closing, and then your perception in the marketplace.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, there's no way to make a bigger impact, right? Like sending 1,000 text messages or putting a video out there to those same 1,000 people. One of them will result in more conversations and more memory, more impact, all those things.
You know what? You just said something that I wanted to add. This was my question, and I forgot to ask it. How does it integrate with SMS? How do you do that? Is it just a matter of copying and pasting it into the thing, or is there a button?
Yeah, there's several ways we can send SMS these days, right? You can use your cell phone, send one text message at a time from your cell phone. There's also softwares on desktops that can send bulk text messages, automatic text messages. And in fact, Dubb allows you to purchase a business line from a service like Twilio, or like there's dozens of services. The idea here is that you cannot connect your personal cell phone to do mass text messaging. Right? Like AT&T and Verizon, they're not too happy if you do that. So they don't allow you to connect your personal cell phones for mass text messaging. So what you typically have to do is, just like you have to buy an email for your business, you have to buy a business line. So Ring Central or Twilio, or like I said, there's dozens of providers here. You buy this business line from wherever you want, and then you connect that business line to Dubb, and then you can actually send out bulk and automated video text messages straight from the Dubb platform. You can also take your videos and paste them through any system you already have that's doing text messages. So here's a quick example of a workflow that we have. A workflow is a series of automatic text messages. So this one's pretty simple. It just sends a text message, waits 2 days, sends another text message, waits 2 days, and sends a third, and finally it stops. So this is an example of a simple automated text message sequence, and one example of how you can send video or send text messages on Dubb. So to reiterate, you have your one-to-one from your cell phone, and you could use the Dubb app there. There's a direct integration for sending from your cell phone. Or if you're wanting to do it in bulk, you have your business lines on the desktop, and we can send through there as well, either using Dubb or using any system you guys have.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that too, because there's so much more to Dubb just as a product than just video. Video is the scratch in the surface, is where you guys started and you cut your teeth, but there's so much more. That workflow that you just briefly blew through. If people have ever tried to work those out, like find us